Good day, YouTube. It is the 10th of April, 2022. This is a 2000 model Scott's lawn tractor. It was built by John Deere, believe it or not. It's got a 17 horse Intek overhead valve engine in it, and we just completed a video on this machine and got it running. Actually, it was pretty easy to do. Just did a oil change, check air filter, put some gas in it, and believe it or not, it starts, runs, idles, does almost everything it's supposed to do, but it doesn't run great. So this video is about, make it better. Make it run better, because it doesn't run great. Let's start it up. Hey, something really cool though. The battery in this thing has a C17, which is March 17 build date for the battery. I put the big battery charger on it, knowing that the battery's probably junk, but that battery charger's got a start function, 125 amp, 225 amp start function. All I gotta do is kick it into high gear and it'll start. But check it out, the battery actually charged. So I can turn this off and should still turn over. So let's start it up, and I'm going to let you listen to how the engine runs and see if you agree with my diagnoses. Alright, fire in the hole. No battery charger. 5-year-old battery, been sitting forever. You can hear it popping through the exhaust and the intake. So I'm pretty sure what we're dealing with here is just really tight valves. Look at that, I still got the spark checker running on it. So what I believe is happening is the valves aren't quite closing, and it's basically firing the mixture in the combustion chamber, and depending on which valve isn't quite closing, it's popping through the intake or popping through the exhaust. So my guess is we get those valves adjusted, we should be able to fix that. So let me go online real quick. I'm going to get the proper clearance for these valves and grab a feeler gauge. We'll get the valve cover pulled off this thing, and let's set the valves and see if it doesn't fix that. I'll be right back. Alright, found the feeler gauge. Let's pull the valve cover. Yep. And that's going to leak some oil, right? Put the little drain pan under it. Smoking. There we go. Want to save the gasket because I ain't got one. Good. Good, good. Well, the valve clearance may not be set perfectly, but they're not super tight. So that whole popping thing, I say. So we got to set the valves, which means we got to have the valves loose. So let's unplug the sparky plug. I'll get my spark checker back. We'll crank it over, watch the valves work. There's very specific places you can put the crank to make sure the valves aren't engaged. But you can look at them also. Make sure they're topped out. And don't put the valve cover right there if you're going to turn the motor over. Alright, that's better. Alright, going by hand. Right there, no movement to either valve. Well, they're not too bad, but let's see if they really got clearance. So, intake 5 thousandths, exhaust is 10 thousandths. How do you know which one is which? Well, the intake manifold comes in here, so the top would be intake, right? No, there's the exhaust right there. Exhaust is right there. Top would be exhaust, bottom would be intake. Top would be exhaust. Why is the exhaust valve always got more clearance than the intake? The valve gets hotter. Whoa, she is tight. See there? Alright. Let's see what the intake's like. It's not too bad. Okay. Checking to see if it's even 5. It's not. Alright, so exhaust is a little tight. So, it still might be our issue. Let me get some tools here. And we'll get these adjusted. Alright, got a couple tools. Got a 10 millimeter. And evidently one of these, what do you call them, little star bits? That's wild. Never seen that before. Alright, got the old jam nut loose. We got our 10 millimeter feeler gauge. That's pretty good. It's a little different because the 10 millimeters actually was making the adjustment, and the lock is this guy. The one in the middle locks it down. That could be just a tad tight. I forget some of these are like that. It's a tad loose. Still a tad loose. There we go. She's got a nice drag on her now. Tighten down the jam, double check it. Okay. And 5 thousandths down here, it's actually loose. So let's undo the jam. We're going to need to tighten it a minute. Let's tighten up the jam and check our work. You know, it always changes when you do that, so might take a little. Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. Double check our jam. Okay. All right, I threw that valve cover in the parts cleaner. So let me get it out, dry it off, and we'll put that clean valve cover back on, and let's try this again. See if it fixes. It's popping. Well, what do you think? Is she beautiful? Well, I don't know. Some of these engines got aluminum valve covers. I think that's pretty cool. Not this one. She's just made of tin. Right. I didn't clean the bolts. Nice clean valve cover. Dirty bolts. You know, I am surprised at this engine though. I mean, this thing, the whole tractor just looks terrible. But the oil was pretty dirty, we took out of it. But the engine's actually fairly clean inside. Valve cover wasn't all gross inside. Click. Torqued. Alright. Should we try again? Let's throw the tools off before I sling them across the shop. Alright. Let's see if the pop went out of it. What? I don't know. What do you think? Think it's gone? I think it's going to be better. I hope it's gone. Ready, set. Did I plug the spark plug back in? No. Will it go back in? There it is. Probably run now. Put you on hold for a minute. So she's still popping a little bit. I wonder if it's more of a miss than a pop. Maybe we gotta just throw a spark plug in it real quick. See what that does. You started up good. It runs probably better. But let's do a spark plug. How about that? I'm sure I've got one on the shelf in the shed. Let's get some tools and pull this one out. Is this a 3/4 inch socket type spark plug? No, it's a little guy. That valve cover gasket, or the valve cover being off, leaked some oil down on the muffler. She is smoking a bit. So the other thing I'm going to do too is a quick run to the internet and make sure the spark plug that's in this is correct. I never want to assume somebody, put the right one in. That muffler is right there. But it could be wrong. There we go. Oh, the gap's not very good either. You see that gap's very narrow. Alright, we got a couple things going on. She looks a little wet. It's a Champion RC12YC. I'm not positive that I recognize that number or not. Maybe. Alright, let me go do some quick research. I should have a correct spark plug on a shelf, so we're looking at two things. One, put the right plug in it, and two, get the right gap, because that gap is not right. So we got two things that aren't right here, I think, or potentially two things. You know, I really need to find a good cross-reference sheet for these and print the thing so I'd have it, but I don't. So I'm going with a NGK BPR5ES. When I did a search for spark plugs for that engine, 17 horse Intek, I just got all kinds of information, and spark plugs vary. So I found this one a couple times, had one on the shelf, so we're running with it. So that's that. So let's set the spark plug gap. I have a couple different gapping tools I just thought I'd show you real quick. I kind of like these. You can get these in the auto parts store. They're usually on the counter for $1. But this one actually is pretty handy too. And it's got the wire. So evidently the gap is supposed to be 30 thousandths. Checking to see. This does not. This is a, I think I have a couple of these. These are for bigger gap plugs. So that's not going to work for the moment. So let's bust this out. Plastic. Yeah, come on. There we go. And we're going to set the gap on this baby at 30 thousandths. So you start off on the small side and work your way up. It's at 30 now, so we'll go with it. Oh, it takes a bigger socket. Interesting. I guess we can do that if it'll fit. That's probably why they have different ones listed, huh? They're the same threads and all, but different size socket. This is a little tight in there. Probably go though. Might be a little tight in there. Let me work on this for a minute. Alright, that thing wasn't going to thread in there because there's too much obstruction. So I went back to the shed and I actually got another one of these exact same plugs. RC12YC. Let's go with a new one of these. I've seen this also listed. Like I said, many different plugs come up when you look for a spark plug for this thing. Let's gap it or check the gap. Again, to 30 thousandths. Ooh, they're gap pretty tight. So I'm just wiggling this thing back and forth, make it a little wider till we get up to 30. Somebody probably got the thing right out of the box and put it in there. There we go, 30 thou. It wasn't anywhere near 30 thou. Oh, of course, now my socket's not going to fit. I got to get my 5/8 socket out. I got that other one to go quite a few turns, but I had to do it all by hand because it's just a little tight in there. So I got to start this one by hand. Last thing you want to do is cross thread a spark plug. Stay on there. Well, do you think it's going to be better? Starting to run out of ideas. If it doesn't, I say it will. New plug. Gap correctly, same make and model plug. Let's try it, no choke. Popping no more. Go burn a little oil off. Let it warm up a minute. Well, what do you think, guys? I think we got it. Runs good. If we had a mower deck, we'd go mow the lawn right now, except it's starting to rain. Guys, gals, Intek, 17 horse. Briggs and Stratton. And we started off the day. This thing was an unknown condition. And I didn't give it a ton of hope to be really good. But it turned out to be really good. Even the battery charge. I've started this thing a bunch of times without even the battery charger running. So what the heck? So I could actually spend a little time cleaning this old monster up. Do have the hoods right there. Don't have a deck. It's gone. Anyway, the pop in the engine's what we were after to fix. We did a little valve adjustment there. It got a little better. Seemed to run just a little better. And then it was still popping though. So we pulled that spark plug out and immediately noticed that the gap was a little tight, but that spark plug could have been old too. So that pop might have really just been a miss. But anyway, we got her fixed. Guys, gals, thanks for watching the video. Appreciate a thumbs up on the way out the door. If you haven't already, subscribe, do so. Hit that bell notification to be notified of other videos coming up in the future. And hey, we will see you on the next one.